Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. The greatest skill you can develop in business, leadership, and life is not intelligence. It's social intelligence. See, you can have all the knowledge in the world. You can have the best product, the most powerful presentation. But if you don't know how to read people and respond to them, you'll miss the mark every single time, because success doesn't move through systems. It moves through souls. Social intelligence is the quiet power behind every lasting influence, every successful relationship, every great leader who knows how to move people instead of just managing them. It's not about how much you know, but how deeply you understand the people around you. You can memorize all the business strategies, read every book on persuasion, and still fail to connect if you haven't mastered the art of reading people's emotions, intentions, and energy. True success is not just built on intellect, it's built on insight. You can't touch a person's life until you've learned to touch their heart. When you walk into a room, you don't just see faces, you should feel the atmosphere. Every room carries a tone. Some rooms are heavy with tension, others light with laughter. The socially intelligent person doesn't just see the obvious, they sense the unseen. They can tell who's confident and who's pretending, who's open and who's guarded, who's leading and who's longing for direction. Discernment is more valuable than data because it lets you understand before you speak, adjust before you act, and connect before you convince. It's not about manipulation, it's about alignment, seeing people for who they really are instead of what they project. The mistake most people make is trying to correct others without first connecting with them. You can't influence someone whose heart you haven't touched. Influence doesn't flow through authority, it flows through trust. The moment people sense that you're trying to change them without understanding them, they'll resist. But when they feel seen and valued, they open their ears and their hearts. You don't have to push your message when people believe you care about them. Connection is the bridge truth walks across, and trust is the currency that makes every word count. People don't respond to what you say, they respond to how what you say makes them feel. You can say the right words in the wrong tone and lose the moment. You can say a hard truth with grace and change a life. Social intelligence means managing the emotional temperature of the conversation. Every word you speak either raises or lowers the emotional climate. When your heart is aligned with kindness, your words carry power. When your motive is pure, people feel it. Emotions are contagious. If you bring peace, others calm down. If you bring confidence, others stand taller. If you bring chaos, the whole room will start to shake. Listening is the most underdeveloped superpower in leadership. Most people listen to reply, very few listen to understand. But when you learn to listen beyond words, you start hearing the truth underneath them. You begin to hear pain, hope, fear, and passion hiding between the pauses. Sometimes what people don't say is louder than what they do. The tone, the pace, the silence all speak volumes. And when you learn to tune your ear to those hidden messages, you begin to serve people at a deeper level. Social intelligence is not just about responding fast, it's about responding right. To master this art, you must adapt without losing authenticity. You don't have to be someone else to connect. You just have to bring the best version of yourself to every situation. Flexibility is not compromise, it's wisdom. The wise know how to adjust their approach while keeping their principles intact. You speak differently to a discouraged friend than you do to a confident client, but your truth remains the same. People can sense when you're pretending, and pretense kills influence. The goal is not to impress people, it's to impact them. Authenticity gives your presence authority. When you're real, people can relax. And when they relax, they receive the highest level of social intelligence's service. Influence grows naturally in the soil of genuine care. When you stop trying to get something from people and start giving something to them, everything shifts. People don't remember what you said as much as they remember how you made them feel. Every interaction becomes a seed. Some seeds grow immediately, others take time. But every moment of kindness, understanding, and patience plants something in the heart of another person. And over time, those seeds grow into relationships, partnerships, and opportunities that no degree or title can buy. Social intelligence isn't a strategy, it's a spirit. It's being aware enough to feel the rhythm of human behavior and wise enough to move in harmony with it. When you start treating every conversation like it matters, you begin to attract people who matter. When you read people right, you can respond right. And when you respond right, you create impact that lasts long after the conversation ends. Connection is the foundation of all influence, yet most people try to be understood before they try to understand. They want to be heard before they take time to hear. The moment you forget that people are emotional beings first and logical beings second, you lose the ability to reach them. Connection is not about charm, it's about care. When someone feels you value them, they become open to what you have to say. If they feel you're only talking to win, they'll close their heart, even if your words make sense. The secret is not in speaking louder, it's in listening deeper. Influence is never forced, it's invited through relationship. Every human being walks around with a sign that says, "Make me feel important." The person who learns to do that sincerely will always have influence. People don't remember your accomplishments. They remember how you made them feel about themselves. When you approach someone with genuine curiosity and respect, you speak directly to their spirit. That's where real connection begins. Connection happens when you slow down long enough to see the person in front of you instead of the position they hold or the transaction you want. When people sense that you see them as more than a means to an end, they begin to trust you. Correction without connection feels like criticism. That's why so many leaders fail to lead effectively. They try to fix what they don't understand. Before you can correct someone, you have to care about them. Before you can redirect someone's actions, you have to connect with their emotions. You can't inspire someone to change if they think your goal is to win an argument. The greatest communicators build bridges, understanding long before they deliver truth. Connection doesn't weaken your message, it strengthens it. When truth travels across the bridge of trust, it lands softly but powerfully. Many people think connection is about saying the right words, but it's more about creating the right atmosphere. You can't connect from a place of judgment or superiority. You connect from humility. The moment you act like you're above someone, they will subconsciously resist you. But when you lower your walls, when you meet them eye to eye, spirit to spirit, you create safety. And in that safety, people start to open up. They reveal what they really think and how they really feel. Only then can you speak into their lives in a way that actually makes a difference. Connection is built through empathy. Empathy is not agreeing with everything someone says. It's understanding why they say it. It's the ability to step into their story without losing your own. When you can see the world through someone else's perspective, you stop trying to win arguments and start trying to win hearts. The world doesn't need more people who speak louder. It needs more people who listen better. The more you listen, the more people feel valued. The more valued they feel, the more influence you gain. Connection also requires authenticity. You can't fake care and expect real trust. People are experts at sensing pretense. They can feel when your smile is performance and when it's presence. True connection comes when your heart is clean, when your motives are pure, when you want to serve more than you want to shine. People trust consistency more than charisma. You don't have to be impressive to connect. You just have to be honest. When you show up as your real self, you give others permission to do the same. And in that honesty, relationships are built that can handle correction, conflict, and growth. Connection thrives in humility because humility disarms pride. When you're humble enough to admit you don't know everything, people lower their defenses. When you share your own struggles instead of pretending to be perfect, people feel safe around you. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's an invitation. It tells people, I'm human too. And once they see your humanity, they'll trust your wisdom. Leadership isn't about proving you're right. It's about creating the space for others to rise. You can't lead anyone you look down on. The moment people feel you're judging them, they stop listening. Judgment kills connection because it makes people feel small. The more you make others feel small, the smaller your influence becomes. Real connection comes when you choose compassion over condemnation. Compassion says, I understand how you got there, even if you don't agree with their choices. Compassion opens hearts. And an open heart is fertile ground for truth to grow. The best way to connect with people is to serve them. Service turns strangers into allies and skeptics into supporters. When people see that you're more interested in helping them than in using them, their guard comes down. They begin to trust your intentions. Connection happens not when you talk about what you want, but when you deliver what they need. Every interaction is a chance to plant seeds of trust through genuine care, understanding, and empathy. The stronger your connection, the deeper your influence, because people don't follow those who talk the loudest. They follow those who care the most. People reflect what they feel more than what they hear, and most of what we call communication is not words, it's energy. Every time you walk into a conversation, you're transferring emotion before you ever transfer information. The words might say one thing, but your tone, your posture, your facial expression, and your spirit are all saying something louder. Human beings are emotional mirrors. They reflect the state you project. If you walk into a room with frustration, the people around you begin to tense. If you carry peace, they calm down. If you lead with confidence, they rise to meet your energy. You don't get back what you say, you get back what you send. Every relationship is an emotional exchange. Most people focus so much on crafting the perfect words that they forget to check the condition of their heart. The truth is, people can feel your intention even when they can't define it. If you speak with love, they may not remember your words, but they'll remember how you made them feel. If you speak from pride, they may hear your logic, but they won't trust your motive. You can't speak healing from a bitter heart, and you can't speak wisdom from an unteachable spirit. The purity of your message depends on the posture of your heart. People don't always respond to truth. They respond to the spirit behind it. You can say the right thing in the wrong way and lose influence. You can deliver correction with compassion and create transformation. Emotional awareness is the foundation of effective communication. You have to know not just what to say, but how to say it, when to say it, and who you're saying it to. Timing and tone can turn rejection into reflection. Sometimes silence says more than sentences. Sometimes the best response is to listen with empathy instead of reacting with ego. If you want people to follow your lead, they must feel safe around your presence. People don't open up to those who make them feel small. They open up to those who make them feel seen. Emotional intelligence allows you to sense when someone is defensive, discouraged, or disengaged, and instead of pushing harder, you adjust your energy. You shift from confrontation to compassion, from proven to understanding. That shift doesn't weaken your authority, it strengthens it. Power without empathy feels like control, but power with empathy feels like leadership. Every conversation is an atmosphere. You create the emotional temperature by how you show up. If your tone carries frustration, the atmosphere will carry tension. If your tone carries hope, the atmosphere will carry faith. Your words may be forgotten, but the emotional imprint you leave remains long after you've walked away. That's why it's so important to manage your own emotions before you attempt to influence someone else's. You can't lead people out of fear while you're still controlled by fear. You can't bring peace to chaos if chaos is still ruling your mind. People are not persuaded by perfection. They are moved by presence. Presence means your attention is here, not divided. It means you care more about connection than performance. When you speak with presence, people feel it. They know you're not just talking at them, you're talking to them. The most powerful communicators are not the loudest, they're the most aligned. Their words, tone, and energy move in the same direction. Alignment creates authenticity, and authenticity builds trust. Trust opens the door for transformation. You have to understand that communication is not just a transaction, it's a transfer. When you talk, you're transferring belief, fear, faith, or doubt. If you don't like what you're receiving from people, check what you're sending. People mirror your emotional state. When you speak from frustration, you attract resistance. When you speak from confidence, you attract cooperation. When you speak from humility, you attract honesty. People unconsciously match your emotional frequency. That's why mastering your own emotions is the first step to mastering influence. Words are tools, but emotions are the power that drives them. A gentle tone can make correction feel like encouragement. A harsh tone can turn encouragement into insult. The difference lies not in vocabulary, but in vibration. Every time you speak, you're either building a bridge or building a barrier. You build bridges when your energy says, I'm for you. You build barriers when your energy says, I'm against you. The heart behind your message is the true message. You can teach knowledge, but you can only transmit emotion. The moment you understand that people reflect what they feel from you, you stop trying to impress them and start trying to influence them through integrity and empathy. You realize that leadership isn't about controlling behavior. It's about cultivating belief. When people feel valued, they give you their best. When they feel judged, they give you their defense. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to project peace, respect, and strength. What you radiate returns to you. People are mirrors, and if you learn to manage your reflection, you'll begin to master your relationships, your influence, and your impact. Most people think communication is about talking, but the real art lies in listening. Not just hearing words, but catching the meaning behind them, the emotion under them, and the truth between them. Listening is where wisdom begins. When you truly listen, you gather information that others miss, and you build trust that words alone can't create. Every person you meet is sending signals through their tone, timing, and silence. Most people are too busy preparing their response to notice, but the wise pay attention to what isn't being said. Listening is not about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about giving someone the gift of being fully understood. When people feel heard, they feel honored. And when they feel honored, they open up. That's when real communication starts. You don't learn anything by talking, you learn by listening. You don't grow by defending your point. You grow by understanding another perspective. The reason so many conversations end in conflict instead of clarity is that both sides are fighting to be right instead of striving to relate. Listening shifts the energy from competition to connection. It shows humility. It says, I value what you have to say even if I don't agree with it. That attitude disarms pride and invites honesty. Most people only listen to respond, which means they're not listening at all. Their mind is racing ahead, crafting arguments, looking for openings to jump in. But true listeners are still. They listen with curiosity, not agenda. They don't just hear what's said. They feel what's meant. They watch how the person's eyes move when they speak, how their breathing changes, how their tone drops when they touch something painful. Those small details reveal truths that words often hide. Listening with awareness allows you to see beyond the mask people wear to protect themselves. Listening is also a discipline. It requires control over your own need to dominate the conversation. It's not weakness to stay silent. It's strength. The person who can stay quiet while others speak gains more power because they gain more insight. While others are focused on being impressive, the listener is becoming informed. The more you understand people, the more effective you become in guiding, serving, and leading them. Great leaders don't talk their way into influence. They listen their way into wisdom. They pay attention to the undercurrent of emotion flowing beneath every word. There's a language in every pause. Sometimes silence speaks louder than sentences. When someone hesitates before answering, that pause can reveal doubt, fear, or pain. When their voice cracks slightly, it can expose emotion they're trying to hide. Listening beyond words means reading the emotional temperature of a moment. It means not rushing to fill the silence because silence often reveals truth. In those quiet spaces, People decide whether they can trust you. If you can sit in silence without judgment, you give them permission to be real. Listening also creates influence because it builds emotional safety. When people know you won't interrupt them, they speak more honestly. When they see you're not waiting to correct them, they share more freely. People crave spaces where they don't have to defend themselves, and a true listener creates that space. In that space, transformation happens. People rarely change because they're told to. They change because they're understood. When they feel seen, they start to see themselves differently. That's the invisible power of listening. It heals, it clarifies, it connects. To master the art of listening, you have to quiet the noise inside your own mind. You can't hear someone else clearly when your own thoughts are shouting over them. That means approaching conversations with openness instead of judgment. It means being more curious than certain. Every person you meet knows something you don't. Every conversation is a classroom if you enter it as a student instead of a lecturer. When you listen deeply, you begin to uncover the motivations, fears, and dreams that drive people's behavior. You stop reacting to what they do and start responding to why they do it. Listening beyond words also means interpreting tone. Words carry data, but tone carries emotion. Someone can say, "I'm fine," 100 different ways, and only one of them means peace. The rest mean anger, disappointment, or exhaustion. Paying attention to tone helps you respond to emotion instead of reacting to expression. That's how you de-escalate conflict, comfort pain, and inspire cooperation. People want to be met at the emotional level before they're ready for logical solutions. Listening to tone helps you meet them where they are. The better you become at listening, the more influence you gain without having to push for it. People trust those who make them feel understood. They return to conversations where they felt heard. Listening makes you magnetic because attention is the rarest form of respect in a world full of noise. When you develop the discipline to listen beyond words, you begin to understand that every person carries a story, and every story holds a clue to how you can serve, help, and lead more effectively. Adaptability is one of the greatest forms of intelligence because life will always test your ability to adjust without losing your essence. Every environment, every relationship, every opportunity comes with a different rhythm. And if you can't feel that rhythm, you'll move out of sync. Some people are so fixed in how they think and how they talk that they can't connect with anyone different from them. But the truth is, flexibility is not compromise, it's wisdom. When you know who you are, you can walk into any room and find common ground without pretending to be someone else. Adaptation is not about changing your values. It's about changing your approach so your values can be received. A person who refuses to adapt will eventually become irrelevant. The world changes, people change, and communication evolves. If you can't read the room, you'll miss your moment. Social intelligence means knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to challenge and when to encourage, when to push and when to pause. Every person you meet is wired differently. Some need clarity, others need comfort. Some need direction, others need space. When you learn to adjust your tone and timing to meet the emotional need of the moment, you become more effective without losing authenticity. Adaptation without awareness leads to imitation, but adaptation with awareness leads to influence. The difference is motive. If you're adjusting to be accepted, you'll lose yourself trying to please everyone. But if you're adjusting to be effective, you'll gain impact without compromising integrity. The key is to keep your core strong while letting your methods evolve. The tree that doesn't bend breaks in the storm, but the one that bends remains rooted and standing. It's not the flexibility that weakens it, it's what keeps it alive. There are moments in life where you'll have to shift your communication style to reach people where they are. Some people need truth delivered softly because they're carrying pain. Others need it straight because they're stuck in denial. Wisdom is knowing the difference. Adaptability allows you to sense what's required in each situation. It's about adjusting your delivery while keeping your message intact. The greatest leaders, teachers, and communicators have mastered this art. They don't water down their message. They package it in a way that people can receive it. Adaptation is not acting, it's awareness. Acting is when you perform for approval. Awareness is when you perceive what's needed and respond with intention. The more aware you are, the more adaptable you become. When you walk into a new situation, don't rush to assert yourself. Observe, feel the flow of the room. Sense who's open, who's resistant, who's waiting for direction. That awareness allows you to bring the right energy at the right time. People follow those who understand them, not those who try to overpower them. The adaptable person has quiet strength. They don't need to control every situation because they know how to align with it. Authenticity gives adaptability its power. Without authenticity, adaptability becomes manipulation. The moment people sense you're pretending, they pull back. Pretending creates pressure. Authenticity creates presence. The goal is not to mirror others to fit in, but to reflect your truth in a way that others can recognize themselves in it. You can meet people where they are without lowering who you are. You can be kind without being weak, bold without being harsh, and flexible without being fake. That balance is where real influence lives. Adaptability also requires emotional maturity. If you're easily offended, easily frustrated, or easily flustered, you'll struggle to adjust in tense situations. Emotional control allows you to stay centered when circumstances shift. You can't adapt to a new environment if you're still reacting to the old one. Growth requires letting go of rigidity and embracing responsiveness. That means learning from feedback, listening to different perspectives, and being willing to evolve. Every challenge is an invitation to refine how you respond, not just how you think. Adaptability turns obstacles into opportunities. When plans fall apart, adaptable people don't panic, they pivot. They understand that change isn't the enemy, it's the evidence of life. If something is alive, it's growing, and if it's growing, it's changing. People who resist change end up fighting seasons that were designed to promote them. Those who embrace change learn to flow with life instead of forcing it. When you can adjust your attitude, your words, and your actions to fit the moment while keeping your core intact, you become unstoppable. Every relationship, business, and opportunity requires a different version of your communication. What works in one environment may not work in another. Adaptability allows you to translate your message across different people and places. It helps you remain effective in diverse situations because you're not bound by preference, you're guided by purpose. The goal is not to blend in, but to stand out in a way that still connects. The person who learns to adapt without losing authenticity will always have an advantage because they can bridge gaps others can't see. Adaptability is strength under control, wisdom in motion, and awareness in action. The highest form of social intelligence is service because when you learn to serve people, you automatically gain influence. Service is not weakness, it's strategy. It's understanding that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. The moment you make the conversation about helping others instead of proving yourself, everything changes. Influence flows naturally toward those who add value. People are drawn to energy that lifts them, to voices that understand them, and to hearts that want to see them win. Service turns leadership from a position into a purpose. The reason most people struggle to build influence is that they focus too much on being impressive instead of being impactful. They want to be seen instead of being useful. But the truth is, the fastest way to rise is to help others climb. The more value you bring to someone's life, the more value they attach to your presence. Service is not about lowering yourself. It's about lifting others high enough to see what's possible for them. When people feel seen, supported, and strengthened by you, they trust you, and trust is the foundation of influence. Serving first means you approach every interaction with the mindset of contribution. You stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? That simple shift in perspective transforms your relationships. It builds loyalty that money can't buy. When people sense that your motives are pure, they open their hearts. When they know you're for them, not just around them, they listen differently. They begin to believe that your words are not just information, they're inspiration. Every act of genuine service plants a seed of respect that grows into long-term influence. Service requires humility because you can't truly serve from pride. Pride seeks recognition, but service seeks results. Humility allows you to listen, to care, and to adjust without feeling threatened. The most effective leaders are those who see themselves as servants first. They understand that leadership is stewardship, that influence is borrowed, not owned. Every person you lead, every conversation you have is an opportunity to invest in someone else's potential. When you serve with sincerity, your impact outlives your presence. Service also requires awareness. You can't serve people effectively if you don't understand what they need. You must learn to observe the unsaid, to recognize pain before it's spoken, and to anticipate needs before they're expressed. Some people need encouragement, others need clarity, and some just need someone to listen. The ability to discern what kind of service the moment calls for is what separates ordinary communicators from extraordinary leaders. True service doesn't always mean doing something big. Sometimes it means offering a small gesture that makes a lasting difference. When you lead with service, you disarm resistance. People naturally lower their guard around those who genuinely care. You don't have to demand respect when you've already earned it through kindness. Service turns tension into trust because it proves that your intentions are pure. You're not trying to control anyone. You're trying to contribute to them. You're not trying to impress. You're trying to improve. And when people feel that, they stop resisting your influence and start welcoming it. Service also multiplies success. Every great opportunity is connected to a relationship, and every strong relationship is built on value exchange. When you focus on helping others win, you create a cycle of reciprocity. People remember who helped them when they had nothing. They remember who believed in them when no one else did. When you invest in people's growth, they invest in your vision. Service builds bridges that carry opportunity back to you, often from directions you didn't expect. Serving others doesn't mean losing yourself. It means bringing the best of yourself to every situation. It means giving without expecting and leading without ego. It means being generous with your time, your wisdom, and your presence. Service doesn't diminish you, it develops you. The more you give, the more you grow because service sharpens your empathy, your patience, and your awareness. It teaches you how to see beyond your own desires and into the needs of others. When you serve, you start to see people differently. You stop judging them by their behavior and start understanding them through their battles. Everyone you meet is fighting something you can't see, and sometimes your words, Your encouragement or your presence can be the light that helps them keep going. That's what real service is. It's meeting people in their struggle and reminding them of their strength. When you live that way, influence stops being something you chase and starts being something you carry. The true test of leadership is how many people grow because of you. Influence gained through service lasts because it's rooted in love, not control. It's about building people, not using them. When people feel valued, they give you their trust. When they trust you, they give you access to their attention, their loyalty, and their belief. The more you serve, the more you lead. The more you give, the more you gain. Service is not the path to success. It's the proof of it. So here's the truth. Social intelligence isn't about manipulation. It's about ministry through connection. It's the art of reading the room, responding with grace, and remembering that every human being carries a story. If you want to rise higher in life, learn to treat every person like they matter, because they do. The moment you master people's skills, you won't just win deals, you'll win destinies.